back to Walk Talk Austin Antonio. My name is Thomas Bingham, joined alongside by Evan Byer and producer Josh. We are the voices for sports talk in the Austin Antonio Hill Country. We're excited to be back. This is episode 24. Got a great lineup of content ahead. Obviously, we have another From the Bench interview this week. We'll obviously share my interview with a Hayes girls basketball player that recently reached a personal milestone. That was obviously great to talk to her. We will take a look at the girls basketball playoff races. We will continue with our spring sports pick'em and much, much more. But before we get to all that, got to bring everybody in. How's everyone doing tonight?
Thomas, I'm doing really well. You stuck the intro, man. I'm really proud of you. Yeah, good job there. I'm happy to be here. Oh, it's a good Monday.
Yeah, it is a great Monday. Great start to the week.
We're only like 2 shows away from halfway to like a full year worth of shows.
Yeah.
Episode 20. And which, I mean, we've taken a few weeks off, so, you know, we've basically
so we're
done
even closer than you think we are.
We're even closer than, so, gotta love it.
Well, obviously it was another, very great sports weekend. One of the things that really kind of jumped on the scene was the return of the XFL. Did y'all tune into that?
Did anybody miss football? Like, did you have a chance to miss it after the Super Bowl? I'm just curious.
We had like 5 days without it.
Oh, it was an excruciating 5 days, maybe? I'm just wondering.
I mean, I know I was excited that there was some live professional football playing again.
I mean,
but I've always loved spring sports. Back to like the arena football days and obviously the AF last year. I'm all bought into this new XFL.
I mean, who knows if it's going to last. I mean, actually, so first off, we're actually on YouTube now. So if you're watching this, you're watching on YouTube. We're going to stay on YouTube for foreseeable future. So
Great segue.
Well, thank you. So VYPE Texas is the YouTube channel, and our Houston Counterpoints have a podcast where they kind of just talk sports in general, and they kind of talked about will the XFL last, and I don't know if it's going to last, but I think some of these, just like with the last XFL where you had like the Sky Cam that eventually transitioned to the NFL, I think some of these rules they're trying out in the XFL will eventually transition to the NFL. I think probably the biggest one, it might be the kickoff, where you have the kicker by himself, and then you have the basically the return team and the kickoff team 5 yards from each other, and they can't move to the returner catches it. Well, that's it. I think it's going to create still have that drama of there's still the option of a return, but you're avoiding that full speed collision that they're trying to eliminate. So I think that's out of all of the stuff they've been changing, I think that's probably one of the first things the NFL will take from the XFL.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to like protect obviously the returner on that particular play, but also like I think it's going to give the returner kind of a head start. So you may start seeing some longer returns. Maybe you get more, returns to the other side.
Could you imagine Devin Hester with a head start?
Oh, that'd be wild.
That'd be pretty awesome.
I mean, in instances like this, you might even think they might start from people like Tyreek Hill back there.
Yeah.
I mean, it opens a whole new world of possibilities.
Well, if you're the NFL,
point's pretty interesting too.
You
can go 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
In 18-point games with 2 possessions.
I don't know if the NFL would ever do this, but I think I love it the most. You get to go into the booth for the replays.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely love that.
What they're kind of talking
looking
through.
for.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
So if you're the NFL, are you a little worried that this is the second league in a year that has competed with you?
No.
Compete?
I mean, there's always been spring.
The AAF folded,
right, halfway. But what I'm saying is that so whether or not they folded, whether or not it's successful, and I know we say compete tongue in cheek, but does it worry you that there seems to be a level of football that fans are craving that the NFL is not fulfilling? And if you're the NFL, does that worry you some?
Well, does Vince see this as an opportunity to hopefully eventually sell the league to the NFL as like a minor league of sorts?
Well, I think
that's always
eventually get to that point.
That's always the goal of these spring leagues, is always to kind of like the AAF and all that, unless you're the USFL where you want to directly compete with the NFL.
AFL, the American Football League.
Yeah, the only way that these leagues are going to be successful because of the caliber of player and all of that, you have to work with the NFL in order to do that, because the NFL has such a stronghold on media rights and talent in general, money that they can. I mean, it's you don't want to go head to head, so you have to work with them. But that's the successful play. But what I'm saying is, that there seems to be some level of football that is wanting to be consumed by an audience that the NFL is not fulfilling. And by that I mean, like, I looked at the XFL and it was saying that they're going to be true to the game and they're not going to, they're basically going to be straightforward with you, no gimmicks and all this kind of stuff. And so it kind of makes me wonder, people I think are looking for maybe a simplified version of football, because I stand by this. I think the NFL complicates its rules when something happens rather than simplifies. So, like, for instance,
over-explains like a particular rule.
It makes it harder for a referee to judge a call or somebody to interpret a rule when they make these changes. And I think that some of these leagues that are coming in, they're like, well, we're going to be straightforward with you. A catch is a catch.
Yeah.
Well, you go to the NFL and you say, well, did Dez catch it? Well, okay, that we're going to adjust this by saying you have to make a football move. Well, what's a football move? Well, now the refs have to look at something in complete, real time and make a snap decision. And then most of them are just sending it up to the booth anyway, because who cares if I got it right on the field? I know they're going to get it right in the booth, maybe, to the point where now this isn't the NFL, it's the NCAA. But now you had a play like you did with Ohio State, where in LSU, where it's a fumble or an incomplete pass. Well, you watch it in slow motion, you go, well, that's a fumble. And then the announcers are going, well, what does it look like in real time? And it's like, well, wait, hold on. These things don't matter. Like, we have replay for a reason, because you got to watch it in slow motion.
Well, because we still have a whole show to do.
Yeah, no, this is a whole nother topic.
We can talk about this forever.
Wrap up what we're all saying. I think the question was asked at one point, and my answer in terms of how this league can kind of, not only survive, but obviously, separate itself from the pack, because you got to be entertaining, you got to have talent, but you also have to be able to show people that, you also have to have, like, the monetary support as well.
Yeah.
Because that's what the AAF didn't have last year. They did, pretty good product on the field. To me, what the XFL is, it's basically the AAF improved, because you have not only the monetary support from Vince McMahon, but you also have solid quarterbacks, but you also have solid coaches. I mean, that's what the old XFL didn't have. They didn't have a lot of great football minds in the game. They didn't have a lot of guys that have played either regularly in the NFL or at a high level in college. To me, I mean, the XFL has a lot of potential. It'll be interesting to see where it all goes.
It'll be interesting, and I'll let us move on from that but I'm just saying, as we talk about how the NFL will react or what kind of rules that the NFL might instate based on these leagues, the Skycam is not a rule. That is something that actually made the game better to watch for viewers. But if we're talking about, will the NFL institute a 1, 2, or 3 based on the XFL, I'm gonna call balk there, because that's not what the NFL is. That's not NFL football. The XFL can do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll move on. What's your high of the week, Thomas?
My high of the week was the fact that we got some winter precipitation this past week.
We got some snow, man.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
did
you build a snowman?
Yeah, we I obviously didn't have enough to do any of that, but it was cool to get see it falling from the sky, and especially with the warm weather we had early in the week. I mean, who would have thought that we would have got as much as we did?
The next day was 75.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I know a lot of people, especially on the north side of Austin, I mean, they had stuff on the ground when they woke up on Thursday morning. I didn't.
No.
But I also live more south than both of y'all and a lot of people in our viewing and audience community.
It was still on my car. It was still on my truck whenever I walked outside. But
must have been that Buda Kyle divide.
Yeah, that's how you. Were you in Buda? It was still around. And Kyle, it was not. Josh, let's mix it up some. What's your high?
Oh, you're not saving the best for last anymore?
No, look, I didn't forget.
I would say my high of the week, it's not 1 million or 2 million, but VYPE total views have surpassed 100,000. It's nearing 110,000 at this point now. So, not the level that Thomas is accustomed to.
Oh,
but,
man, I know.
But, it's still great to see that, so many people are tuning in to read these.
He's going to be the next Thomas Bingham.
There it is. You're like the Tom Brady of views.
Exactly.
But, it's just great to see, so many people kind of tuning in to read and look at the content that these kids are producing. So that's my high of the week. How about you, Evan? What's your high of the week?
I'll get to it. I want to ask you, is there a date coming up that you should be remembering?
No.
No?
Not for a while. So, I mean,
Not even like Friday?
Not a birthday or
Not like Friday? The day of love?
Well, I mean,
Valentine's Day?
that's not like a that's a celebratory date, but it's not like it's one that everyone celebrates, right? So it's not like
I don't have a significant other.
Well, we'll get you there, Thomas.
Yeah.
Thomas, I didn't get my significant other until I was 33. Okay, so in due time. Okay, so but I mean, that's not like an anniversary, right? So Valentine's Day is Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
we're probably just gonna stay in.
I'm glad it's still on your radar, though.
It is on my radar, but
I had to do my job as a friend to make sure that you were on the up and up.
Yeah, no, we're good there, but I don't. It's not like one of those special dates. A special being like in our specific relationship. So.
Yeah. The first Valentine's Day I had with my now wife, we made a couch fort. So that's how.
Really?
That's how significant that is. My high of the week is high school related. The Westlake Chaparrals, dude, they're on a 19-game winning streak. They've won their 5th straight district championship, and they have 3 games left in the season to play. Wow.
So
hold on, I'm going to extend
this. This will be a good question because this week we're talking girls playoffs.
Yeah.
Next week we're talking boys playoffs.
Yeah.
This is a question I want to pose to y'all to think about for next week. Will Westlake go back to back in championships for football and basketball? Let's talk about that next week.
That's a great question.
That's a wonderful question. I like that.
I mean, do you want that right now?
No. Let's
No.
Let's,
We'll
anger.
Tease it. Next week we'll be talking about Westlake and whether or not they have what it takes to extend their 48 district wins in a row. And make that a championship.
Them and
in
Austin
basketball.
Vandegrift are killing it right now.
It's amazing because the talent that left last year.
Oh yeah, we've talked about that too.
Will Baker.
Man, what if we get a Vandegrift Westlake like state semifinal, state final? That'd be amazing.
That would be amazing. Now we've talked about whether or not now I'm going to go a little football here. We talked about whether or not that District of Doom with now I believe it's 27 6A, right? Because they all moved up. Mm-hmm. So 27 6A is the District of Doom, whether that's kind of the SEC-ish. And we have the Shaps winning their 5th district title. Now, albeit this is basketball. That's OUS.
That will be like next school year they'll be in 26. This year they're still 25.
Sorry, I was.
This fall,
I'm referencing the redistrict, the realignment of the football. If our listeners are following through with our shows, but this particular Shaps team, that's OU-esque. That's their 5th straight district championship.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's my high of the week, guys.
Speaking of district championships and playoffs, girls playoffs coming up very soon. This is the last week for district this week. So, Thomas, what are we looking at in Austin and San Antonio? Some tight races going on, I'm sure. What can you tell us?
Man, I mean, like you said, a lot of teams that are obviously chasing not only the playoffs, but playoff spots. And a lot of these teams, the day that we get this out, Tuesday, a lot of these teams will be wrapping up their regular seasons. Now, sometimes you'll get a potential tiebreaker game on Thursday or Friday of this week. So technically it could not be the last, or there's a chance it's not going to be the last regular season game for them. But for the majority of area teams, Tuesday night will be the last day of the regular season. And, you got some great races. Let's start in 13-6A, the North Austin District. Leading the charge right now, the team I've been riding with for most of the season, Cedar Park Vista Ridge. They are the number 1 team in that district. Pflugerville Henderson is right behind. Both those two teams were expected to be in those positions, if not flip-flopped, going into the season. So it's not it's definitely that both teams are on track in terms of their preseason expectations. But you got 2 teams in that district tied for 3rd, Roanoke Cedar Ridge and McNeil. And then you got Austin Vandegrift, who's a half game behind both of them, plus Roanoke Westwood, a game behind Cedar Ridge and McNeil. So 4 teams for 2 spots. Obviously, a lot of exciting competition down the stretch in that district. You mentioned Westlake. Obviously, in terms of their girls team, them and Lake Travis are battling for the district title. Obviously they've battled out when they've met on the court this year, and we'll see if they're tied after Tuesday's action or if they got to go to a potential tiebreaker game. But
for district.
Yeah, for district, obviously. But, Austin Bowie's in third, Austin High's in fourth. Basically, that's the four that will be representing that district. No one else is really in the mix. But, that Wesley Lake Travis rivalry continues to,
Is there a name? Is there a name on the Lake Travis team that kind of stands out that might be a significant prick in Westlake's side? And I say that because I know Westlake has Shea Hawley, who I believe has averaged like 16 or 17 points a game with Westlake throughout the season, and we've had her on the show as well, and she's kind of one of those names that on Westlake, you think of Westlake, you're like, oh, Shea Hawley, she'll be able to lead them to a victory. Is there a name like that on on Lake Travis's squad that might be able to lead Lake Travis to that district championship over Westlake?
I mean, Raven Boswell's really good for the Cavaliers. Obviously she's not, to me, at the level of a Shea Hawley, but she's still, a top-tier player for the Cavs. And so, to me, she is probably the best opposition to a Shea Hawley. Obviously, Westlake also has Presley Bennett, another, notable college basketball recruit. So, probably in the end, Westlake will find a way to get a little bit further than Lake Travis. I mean, Lake Travis, at least on the girls' side, has done what was expected of them, obviously compete for a district title. I know the guys, and we'll talk about that a little bit more next week, they've fallen off a little bit. That was not expected, but the Lake Travis girls basketball team, led by Raven Boswell, is definitely on track. But obviously the other districts, 26-6A and 27-6A and 28-6A, all have already clinched their district champion. 26-6A, you got Judson. 27, you got Reagan. And 28, you got Clark. But, you got some competitive races in 26 with Steele at second, Smithson Valley at third, your alma mater. And then you got Clemens and Canyon battling out for the fourth and final playoff spot from that District of Doom, as you mentioned before. 27-6A is wild. I mentioned that Reagan's won the championship, at least district-wise. Johnson's in second, Roosevelt's in third, and then you got South San and San Antonio Madison in fourth. And actually, no, excuse me. South San leads Madison by a game, but they split their season series. So, if you get an opportunity where maybe South San slips up late or, Madison's able to win, So
Madison's in the hunt. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, basically, Madison needs the win, and they need a South San loss. If that happens, you could definitely see a tiebreaker breaker game, especially since they split their regular season series. 28-6A, also very competitive. I mentioned Clark won that district. In second place, tied for second, you got Los O'Connor, San Antonio Brandeis, and San Antonio Holmes. So 3 teams tied for second place. The crazy thing is none of them play each other left. They've already played their games between each other. So basically, that could end up, maybe you get one of those double tiebreakers. I know sometimes you'll get that in high school. So that's definitely going to be an exciting race.
That will be. Is there a sneaky dark horse in that district? So you've got a 3-way tie for second. Could somebody get the slip and not make the playoffs of those 3 teams? Or is it pretty much a lock? They're all in the playoffs.
No, I believe all 4 of them are going to the playoffs. Yeah, so obviously Clark won the district championship. The other 3 were tied for second.
So they're
guaranteed to go to the playoffs.
So there's no way that technically third place team can kind of sneak in.
No, and I mean the interesting thing is, I know Holmes got off that great start. I think the Huskies are a team to watch because they have been somewhat of a surprise this year. I mean, Brandeis is a power program. O'Connor, Clark. It'll be interesting to see where Holmes ends up in this 3-way tie. Do they get second? Do they go down the fourth? I mean, I think if they grab that second spot, they could be a sneaky threat in Region 4. I mean, whenever you're kind of on the rise, whenever you're surprising people, I'm
Getting
sure there's
hot
a lot
at
of
the
teams
right
in
time,
South
Thomas.
Texas, exactly, that aren't going to know what to expect from this squad, and a lot of times that's a benefit to the team that is going to surprise the competition.
Yeah, that's an exciting district, very competitive one.
And then in 5A, obviously we got 6 other districts in our coverage area. We start in 17-5A. You got Cedar Park leading the charge. Then you got Marble Falls and Pflugerville-Connolly tied for second. And then you got Pflugerville rounding out that group in fourth. In 18-5A, they're next door neighbors. You got the Ballard Georgetown leading this district. Both Georgetown and Georgetown Eastview are tied. And, we've talked about this series a little bit early on in this show's run, especially this basketball season. And, these games have been close when they battled it out. So this will be definitely interesting to see, especially if it goes to a tiebreaker game, who would end up getting that final laugh in this particular series run. Bastrop's in third, and then Manor and Hutto are tied for fourth. In 25-5A, Dripping Springs won the championship. 26-5A, St. Antonio Veterans Memorial won the championship. Obviously, Dripping Springs, I know last year had a really strong team, lost some talent, but it's great to see the Tigers bounce back and obviously maintain what they did last year.
Maintain it. They went undefeated in district this past year. Only lost 7 games, won 27. So they're a good front runner. To do some exciting things in the playoffs here. And I'll just say that district left no doubt with who is going to be in the playoffs. And we talk about that district a lot as a very competitive one. The surprise to me is Lockhart coming in at second seed for the playoffs there in District 25-5A. So some exciting stuff going on.
Yeah, Lockhart's one of our clients. Always good to see the Lions compete at a high level. And then the other 2 5A districts in our coverage area, you got San Antonio Highlands leading the charge in 27-5A. Actually, they won their district championship, so props to those girls. San Antonio Edison right behind them at second. San Antonio Breckenridge third, and San Antonio Jefferson in fourth. And then 28-5A, also a very competitive district. San Antonio Harlan has won the championship.
15-0.
Medina Valley, strong overall athletic program, just like Dripping Springs. They're in second. Somerset third. Southwest Legacy in fourth. They are only up a game on Floresville, though. And both Legacy and Floresville split the season series. So kind of like that matchup we mentioned before, the Madison and South San in 27-6A. Basically, Floresville needs some help. They also need a win. And if everything goes in their direction, another possibility for a tiebreaker game on Friday.
They're counting on Win to help them take down Southwest Legacy, and Win is the 7th place team, and but on Floresville's side, they are playing Uvalde, who is 1-14 in the district so far. So it's not impossible, but it's very unlikely.
Yeah, especially with the potential loss for Southwest Legacy. Any other thoughts on kind of how the girls' playoff I don't know, picture is playing out?
No, it's exciting stuff. The amount of, undefeated teams that are, like we're talking about Harlan, we're talking about Dripping Springs. And I have to say, my girls from Smithson Valley making the playoffs. I'm excited about that, too.
Second year in a row.
And I said this last year.
This is truly a program on the rise.
It is. Because I'll tell you this, Thomas, when I was in high school, you forgot that there was a basketball team, and I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying that because that's how it felt. And to see that there are athletes at the school that are balling around like they are, and making the playoffs, that's good stuff.
Yeah, about time the Rangers showed up in the sport.
I know it.
Well, I know something else that's close to everyone's love and heart is our From the Bench interview segment.
Love the From the Bench segment.
And I know you always mention at the end of my segment how much you enjoy listening to it. And I know a lot of other people do as well, from some other people recently.
Well, who are we interviewing this week?
This week we are talking to Lily Guevara, a Hayes girls basketball player who recently scored her 1,000th career high school points.
Wow.
So that was great to talk
That's
to
incredible.
her. We talked about kind of the days going into it, the game, kind of how it all unfolded. And there was actually kind of an interesting surprise. And y'all definitely want to stay tuned for this because, I know a lot of times coaches will set up a play, especially if one of their athletes is, approaching something like that. And that may not have been the case this time around. So definitely kind of hear from her perspective, kind of looking back on achieving that goal. Obviously, I also put one of those, what is it? The extra segment that I usually do.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Yeah.
One of those that's already on the site, so you're welcome to go learn a little bit more about her. On obviously get a different perspective of her, but also learn kind of the non-sports side of things.
I gotta say that rapid fire is equally. It's I know what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to get you excited for the interview and listening to the show, but it's equally as entertaining.
Oh, it is.
Like it's one of my favorites.
And kind of going back to nearly forgetting the title of this segment. I mean, rapid fire, it's such it punches you in the face. How could I even forget that's the name of that particular segment?
I don't know how you could.
I even created a nice graphic for it and everything for you too.
You did.
Oh, thank you, producer Josh.
That's what I do.
But anyway, definitely it was a great visit with Lily. Not only the main interview that you'll see just right now, but obviously go check out our other one as well, our rapid fire segment. So let's go to the tape right now. Hey, Tom Springer, this week's From the Bench interview, obviously chatting with Hayes girls basketball player Lily Guevara. You recently reached the 1,000 point mark in your high school basketball career. Obviously a big-time accomplishment. I want to talk to you about that today. I want to talk to you about how the season's gone for the Lady Rebs in 2019-2020. I want to talk to you about completing another sweep of your rival Kyle Lehman. But let's start with that achievement. 1,000 points in your high school career. You did it in a 6-point win on January 24th against Austin Aikens. What kind of went into that? Not only that performance that particular day to kind of wrap that achievement up, but also just, what have you been working on this whole time to get to that point?
Just constant hustle, and even if you have a bad game, just move on. It's going to get better. Just go hard and just always have a positive mindset and attitude towards it.
And at that moment, I mean, I know you told me before the interview that you weren't aware that you were so close to it. I know you scored 19 points in that particular performance to wrap that up or to get to that mark in your career. In terms of, I guess, kind of looking back on that moment, was it better that you didn't know how close you were, or was it something where you would have liked to have maybe had a play set up for you to, I don't know, have a little bit more shine from that particular moment?
Honestly, it would have been really cool if I would have known, but I might have been more anxious and more nervous. But I mean, I'm glad I didn't know, because I mean, I guess I could stay humble and just play my game without it frustrating my game.
For sure, and obviously you were able to do it as a junior, so you got a full year ahead.
Yes.
That's still remaining with this sort of particular program. What are you kind of working on over the off season? What's your plan going to be? I know you still got another game as of our recording for this season, but what will be your plan to continue to kind of progress as a leader for this team?
Just to really work hard and go to playoffs, try to lead my team to playoffs, because unfortunately we weren't able to, make playoffs this year. So it's frustrating, but I mean, all we can do is just keep our, our heads up and just work hard and no days off, just grind hard. So in the weight room and in the gym.
Absolutely. And in terms of kind of how the season's gone so far, obviously you've continued to progress. What have you done individually to continue to be, one of the front runners for the squad?
Even though things might not go my way, I've just always tried to keep a positive mindset. Everything's going to be better, and just be positive and lift each other up. That's one of my main focuses.
And what have you and your team mates kind of learned from this season in terms of, are there certain weaknesses that you are trying to kind of improve to, like you said, get to the postseason when you're a senior?
Just to not be selfish and just work together as a team. I think that's a really big part in basketball, because it's a team sport. So just playing together and just being positive and lifting each other up and just having a a good mindset going into a game, thinking you're not gonna lose, like going thinking you're gonna win.
Absolutely. And I know one of the other highlights of the season was completing another season sweep of your Hasty ISD rival, Kyle Lehman. I know this program since the early 2000s has done this multiple times. But, this year is special. Not only did the girls basketball team sweep your rival, boys did as well. Mm-hmm. For the school to do that in the following year and be in the same classification, Lehman's dropping down to 5A next year. What does that kind of mean to you, your team, your school, your community?
It was just a really good opportunity. I'm glad we got that win. It just shows what the Rebels are about. So I'm just glad we could have done that, even for the boys too.
Absolutely. And I guess final question to kind of wrap this thing up. Looking back on this year, how it's gone so far, what have been some of the other kind of highlights for you and your team? What do you remember most about this particular campaign?
Just the atmosphere, just being around like some of my favorite people that I like to be around, even outside of the court. One of my teammates, Trista Strasser, I love her. Even like we're best friends, so even whenever we're not on the court, we're always hanging out, and I love being with her.
Absolutely. I know she is a big-time athlete at this school as well. So I'm sure she's been continuing to push you throughout your career, and I know you have college aspirations. So we'll definitely continue to follow your career at the same time as your teammate that you just mentioned. And, obviously we'll continue to see what your path consists of down the line. So thank you so much for our time.
Thank you.
Back to y'all in the studio.
Thomas, that was a great interview, always on point, and just, always good to see high school players reaching those kind of milestones, and, only a junior, so.
She has more time.
Yeah. But moving on.
More to achieve.
Yeah. Moving on, we got
I can't what I said right before that.
We got our pick'em segment, and as we teased last week, our pick'em segment is sponsored now. Yes, and so Evan, you're going to tell us about the sponsorship.
Yes. So actually, the sponsorship is the place I work. It's Hill Country Indoor. And it's 100. If you don't know Hill Country Indoor, it's out in Bee Cave, Texas. It's 140,000 square feet of fitness, membership classes, sports, and fun. We have everything, man. I mean, from spin, yoga, just your general group classes. We have it's AIM, Athletes in Motion, and that's kind of brought to you by our performance team. And it's more of a structured class level type of workout. You also can work out by yourself on our fitness floor, play some basketball. We have adult leagues, youth leagues, soccer, lacrosse, football. Our football starts, actually, we're recording on Monday. We have our adult football league starting tomorrow. And, of course, I'll be participating in that. Going for my third championship there. But, it's a fun place to work. It's a fun place to work out. And, we have a good time with everyone around us, our members, our community. And I'm excited that we're able to sponsor this Pick'em segment.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have a sponsor finally. First sponsor. So we're excited for y'all to be sponsoring us. Speaking of the pick'ems,
we do, Josh.
We gotta get to the records here. Y'all been pretty consistent overall for these pick'ems.
Surprisingly so, right?
Exactly. I would say I don't know if I would say surprising, intriguing. Intriguing.
Yeah, intriguing.
There you go.
Keeping it competitive.
Yeah, we are. I have a question for you when you let our records be known.
Yes. Is this maybe about one of the soccer games?
It sure is.
So, go ahead and ask your question because I think I know what it is.
Well, tell us the record first.
Yeah. So our records this week. I'll go.
Well, don't you have to go through the results first?
Yeah, let's do the results first. Yeah.
And then you go through our records.
Yeah, it's required.
I'll do it how I want because I'm the producer. Okay. No.
I'm the host of this show. I'm the talent.
I'm just here.
Boys basketball, Austin St. Michael's Catholic Academy beat Brentwood Christian 58-44. If you want to watch that game, well, you got to go VYPELive.com. You can watch all of our previous broadcasts. Nice little plug there. Girls basketball, Salado beat Taylor 34-20. Boys soccer, San Antonio Lee beat San Antonio Madison 3-1. Boys soccer, Round Rock Westwood tied Round Rock Stony Point 1-1. And then the one game y'all switched on, Cibolo Steel girls soccer beat Smithson Valley 2-1.
That was a competitive game.
Yeah, and so Thomas, you had correctly picked that one. So I think what you want to say is, what are we doing with ties? Is that what you want to know?
So, well, and I know what we're doing with it is it counts as a loss.
That is correct. Yeah. So the way we think about it is, because you're picking who's gonna win, right?
Like, you technically could predict a tie, and if it was a tie,
Exactly.
you get it correct.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my question is, in this particular case, Thomas and I chose the same team to win. So it makes sense that this one's a loss.
Well,
but
so the same thing would have happened if y'all each picked separate teams,
yeah,
right?
that's what I was going to ask. Is what if we picked separate teams?
Because y'all each picked each team to win, and neither of them won. They both tied. So you didn't pick the outcome of the game correctly, which is what we're looking at. Right. So
that's what
I
got the clarification I needed.
Yeah. So that means for the week, Evan, you sit at 3-2, and Thomas, you're at 4-1 because of that rule. Technically the teams didn't win, but we're not playing for wins or losses. We're picking outcomes.
Yeah. I like that, the outcome.
And so that means
it gives us a third possibility. So it's not always like 50-50 chance. For soccer, 33%.
It's like playing. It's like playing roulette and landing on 0-0.
That means for the season, Evan, you're sitting at 20-5, and Thomas not too far behind at 18-7. So moving into February, mid-February, and things are right in the thick of it. This week's games, we got 3 sports. Like I said last week, we got some lacrosse this week, some basketball, and some soccer. So yeah, it's an exciting time. Could have thrown in some swimming if we wanted to, but we decided not to.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll throw in another sport here and there. Spring's got a ton of them. First up, boys lacrosse. Austin Anderson at Alamo Heights. This one's happening on Saturday.
Correct.
Thomas, who you got in this one?
This is a tough game to obviously pick. I know Alamo Heights had a nice year last year in lacrosse. Austin Anderson has jumped out to a 2-0 lead. I want to go with the home team in this one.
Nice.
I believe they haven't technically played a game this year, or like if they have, they weren't counted towards their record. I believe that Alamo Heights is going to start on a strong note and pick up a pretty quality win at home.
I'm going in the opposite direction. I'm going to go the Trojans. They are looking really great defensively. I know only 2 games in, but from what I can tell so far is that they've got a very solid defense, and while playing away against a team like Alamo Heights, I'm going edge Anderson Trojans. I'm just excited we're talking about some lacrosse, by the way. I know,
right?
That's a win.
Throwing in another sport.
That's a win in and of itself.
That's what we do here at VYPE. We talk about all sports.
Hey, what if they tie? I'm just kidding. Let's move on.
I don't think you can in lacrosse.
Girls soccer, Leander Rouse at Pflugerville. Evan, who you got on this one?
Yeah, this one is a bit of a tougher one for me. I really wanted to go Rouse, but after thinking about it, I did think about this one for a good majority of the day. But I just like Pflugerville's defense, and while they have lost 4 games and tied 2, I feel good about the Pflugerville Panthers here.
I mean, this is a big-time game. I know Rouse is off to a better district start overall. I know Pflugerville has a way better Pflugerville has a way better record. I'll go Pflugerville as well, just based off of what they've done against competition so far, goal-wise.
Man, even with the tie option, they're sticking
look at that. Hey, they had – now those 2 teams, between 2 of them, have had 3 ties. That's a game changer, Thomas.
I know.
Boys basketball, Kerrville Tivy at Seguin. Thomas, who are you picking on this one? Are you going with Tivy?
I am going Tivy. And people may be surprised because Seguin won the earlier matchup this year. But, I mean, Tivy, they're technically in the 4th spot in their district right now in the playoffs. Seguin has played 2 more games in district play than Tivy. That's the reason why Tivy has the 1-game lead over Seguin. To me, the Antlers have the talent to pick up a big-time district win late.
Yeah, this one is also a tough one. It could be considered a coin flip because looking at it, Tivy is 3-7 when playing away, but Seguin is 9-7 when playing at home. So that leaves a bit of a well, not necessarily a home court advantage as you would think. And Seguin has a stellar offense, but they just outscore you, where Tybee does have a defense that shuts you down, but that's what they do. They don't have an offense that, goes off.
Yeah.
And because of that, I'm going to say Seguin.
So we split another one.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we did.
All right. Moving on to, again, boys basketball. Alamo Heights at San Antonio, Sam Houston. Sam Houston's first time on the Pick'ems. Evan, are you going to pick them the first time on our segment here?
I am not. Nope. I'm not going to pick the Houston Hurricanes in this one. Or Sam Houston Hurricanes. I should make sure I qualify. Nope. This time I am going to go with the Alamo Heights Mules. These teams are both kind of evenly split as far as defensive and offensive prowess. I like that Alamo Heights has a little bit better record, and that's going to be the part that sways me.
I'm going and picking Alamo Heights again.
Yeah.
I mean, Alamo Heights has a slightly worse district record, but once Alamo Heights wins this game, they'll be tied, and Alamo Heights will have that.
Yeah, to be clear, I went overall record and what I was
I'm talking
at.
about the district. Yeah. We all knew what you were saying. Yeah.
They're also they're playing away, and they're 9-3 when playing in another team's court, where Sam Houston is 2-3 at home.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. It makes a difference.
And finally, girls soccer. Battle of the Oval Logos. Hutto at Georgetown. Who we got? Or you taking the tie on this one? Who you got, Thomas?
Ooh.
This is a big game for the district race. But, man, I got to ride with my Hippos. Why not?
How about you, Evan? You going to go for that tie?
Man,
Juicy
that
tie
is a game changer. It is juicy, but no, I'm going to go Hutto Hippos. They're scoring a lot of points and keeping a lot of people away from scoring points. So I've got the Hippos in this one too. They're 7-2, by the way, and the Georgetown Eagles are 6-5-1. So I like my chances with going Hutto.
Well, did y'all hear the announcement from Hutto ISD this week?
Mm-mm.
Where I guess they're building like a second high school campus in their town, and their mascot is also going to be the Hippos.
Wow.
So the reasoning was, like, basically they felt like a segment of the population of Hutto would have felt like excluded because, the Hutto is such an important animal to that town. That's going to be really interesting.
I've already gone on one lengthy talk.
I mean, mine wasn't
next
that
week.
long.
Next week, Evan. Save it for next week.
I will save this one for next week because I have a few thoughts.
So we got two split this week. Thomas a chance to catch up, or Evan a chance to expand that lead.
I think
so
he's 2 games behind. So
yeah, and I think those
trying to claw back in.
The two that y'all picked there, I think, are going to be really close games. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So another showdown. Thomas, why don't you get us ready to get out of here?
Yeah, man. If you enjoyed today's program, you should have. You can follow us on social media, VYPE ATX, VYPE SATX, on Twitter, VYPE Texas, on Facebook and Instagram. You
and
can
YouTube.
Follow me on, yes, you can follow VYPE on YouTube as well. You can follow me, Tex and HN, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Don't forget to sign up for VYPE Campus. I know they're doing some great things in the Houston area and the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're definitely trying to bring that over here as well. Y'all definitely like the extra coverage, so definitely sign up for that, and we'll I'll send it over to one of you guys.
Yeah. You can find me at Evan_Buyer UT on Twitter. That is where I post the show. So it's a nice, easy 1 click away if you follow me. A lot cooler than me, though, is the place I work. We talked about it in the Pick'em section. I work at Hill Country Indoor, and you can find us on Instagram at HC Indoor, or on Facebook with /Hill Country Indoor. We've got a lot of cool things coming.
You can follow me on Twitter at JoshWack13. I don't really say anything much on there. It's mainly a chance to keep up with sports and nerd culture. So yeah.
Josh, I like what you've done.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out.
My
nerd, I'm a big Legend of Zelda fan. Maybe I'll post a little picture of my room right here. Boop. Nice. It's vast, man. I got over 300 pieces of Zelda merchandise. So, but anyways, dedicated. But more importantly, you can follow VYPE. They've been, like I said earlier, they've been killing it, over 100,000 views now. They're just doing amazing work. So on Twitter, that's VYPE_A, and on Instagram, that's VYPE. And just or if you're interested in applying, if you're a student watching this, you can apply at VYPE.com. Hit that apply button.
Well, obviously, we'll be back next week. Stay tuned for some more great coverage. Boys basketball player picture. Then, y'all have a great week. Big and Bar, producer Josh signing off.